how can putting something in my ear, start to help me de-stress my crazy life? What's the quickest and simplest answer to that?
So the beauty is the vagus nerve actually has a branch that goes through the ear canal and fans out into the outer part of the ear. So there's the vagus nerve comes down your brainstem and comes down both sides of your neck and actually connects to every major organ system in the body. But there's a little branch, and I call it like the doorbell of the vagus nerve, and it just comes through the ear. So we can access it that way.
So you're accessing it that way. And for those that don't know, this Xen is the actual product, company's
Yes.
Neuvana, right? And it's basically a small unit that's like a puck in a sense, connected to specific earphone looking that you put within the ear canal, like an earphone, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And so what exactly is happening then as you're putting these things? I have earphones in right now, right? They're not the Neuvana ones, but what is going on with this from this transmitter into these specific earphones?
So and not sure if people won't be able to see this, but you and I will. So there's a generator that has a circuit board and battery, and this is what generates the electrical impulse. And then we plug a very simple set of headphones. They're in-ear headphones, so they're like little earbuds, and they do have a cord because they have an electrical conduit that comes up through the headphones. And that stimulation activates, it delivers a very mild electrical stim to this. If you put your finger in your ear where an earbud would go, then there's a little flap on the front of the ear called the tragus. And that is highly innervated by this branch of the vagus nerve. And then we also hit the backside of the ear canal. So it's a really mild electrical stimulation. And we have an app that's basically the remote control for the unit.
So that is sending a stimulation in there, and that then stimulates the vagal nerve, correct, right there. And basically sends the signal that is going in down the complete nerve, which is basically your whole back, right? It goes into the spinal and back up and forth from there. What is that then doing that you're just sending a signal in? Because people say, oh, wouldn't that overactivate it? Wouldn't that be a bad thing almost, that you're sending electrical shocks into the body?
Right. Great question. So what it actually does is this branch of the nerve goes one way. So even though the vagus nerve that's in the main part of the body goes two ways. So it communicates from let's call it the gut, from the gut organs to the brain. And it also goes from the brain to the gut. This branch only goes to the brain. So you're not shooting, I'll say electricity, you're not shooting electricity straight into the brain. It's really activating this nerve. And the nerve, what that does is sends a message to the brain and says, okay, it's time to calm down. So what it does is releases these neurochemicals that help downregulate the fight or flight. So we all have, I'll kind of back up for a second and say that stress is important. So how many times have we heard you have to get rid of stress in your life? Well, not really, because stress makes you stronger emotionally, physically, mentally. So you have to have some level of stress. The challenge is you also have to recover from those moments of stress. So physically, if all you did was lift weights all day long, your muscles would wear out. There would be injury, right? So we can't stress ourselves out chronically and not give ourselves the chance for our nervous system to recover, which then allows you to digest food, think clearly to make good decisions, breathe really deeply, slow your heart rate down so that your heart has a chance to function optimally. So when the vagus nerve is activated and the brain sends these neurochemicals, there's basically an internal AI that's going on, I'll say, right? So if everything is already really calm, then you're done. If you're really, really geared up and your heart rate is high, your breathing is a little tight or constricted, and your gut is not digesting the food. A lot of people feel like this when they're anxious. Then it will start releasing those relaxing neurochemicals to get all of those things balanced out, right? So it doesn't throw you into this deep state of relaxation. It gets you back to where you should be so that your body can do its job correctly.
Yeah, and that's one of the most important things that we even see at our clinic is this idea of ANS regulation, right? Having a parasympathetic, sympathetic balance in a sense, because very often sympathetic, that fight or flight, is very high. It's activated too much. And the funny thing is, as you mentioned there, one of the best ways to actually subdue that in a sense and activate parasympathetic and improve digestion is through vagal nerve stimulation. People often miss that, but it doesn't matter what you eat in a sense. If you're in a sympathetic state, you're not going to have the peristalsis of the colon. You're going to have poor digestion in general, poor absorption, and poor digestion and GI symptoms.
Right.
That can lead into chronic GI conditions as well. So, add on top of that, please.
Well, I like it that you brought that up because it doesn't mean it's one or the other, right? This is something that you and I will see in our industry or talking to different people. It's okay, well, I did this, right? I started working out. I don't understand why my body isn't magically doing what it's supposed to do. Well, it's one element. And while it's important to do things in digestible bites so that we know there are routines that we can take on and be successful with, it probably means there are more things that we need to add together. And it does take a bit of trial and error. Nutrition is tremendously healing. I heard on one of your earlier podcasts, you mentioned nutrition or nutrition as medicine, right? So food is medicine. And I think we are going there as a society. We're getting moving with education away from prepackaged and all of those things. So that's super important. There's still a piece where the physiology has to heal. And when we are super stressed out and, we have technology, we have responsibilities, we have the economy. If you listen to the news, then there's that added stress and worrying about things that you have no control over.
Yeah. And really what we're trying to do with devices like these is balance that out, but you also have to take control. You can't be putting, your Neuvana Xen like buds in and putting on the news full blast and just worrying, well, dude, that's not balancing. That's not what we're talking about. That's not like the people like go into the gym and then like smoke a cigarette and eat poorly afterwards. Like that isn't balance, everybody. Let's be real here. And you talk about that, like doing the work, that idea of it. And I appreciate that because I think we get pitched too much of like magical cures here and silver bullets of just use my product and you'll get better. Like that is not how life works.
No.